Ball up!
I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Golf Australia Magazine's preview and tipping show, Playing from the Tips. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, and along shortly are two of our so-called experts to help me guide you through all the action from the world of golf this week that includes LIV Golf in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the PGA Tour in Texas, LPGA in New Jersey, DP World Tour in Belgium, and a mixed men and women event in Thailand. Let's meet those so-called experts, and first is a man who this week threw the blame for the state of professional golf at the feet of Tiger Woods, and clearly, unlike others, doesn't have an NDA in place with the 15-time major winner, Rod Morri. Rod, welcome.
Yes, thank you, mate. I didn't get any response. I thought I was going to get absolutely reamed. I wanted to open with, let's blame Tiger, but that was a little bit controversial, a little bit fishing for...
Well, I used that as basically the quote on the story, but didn't really get much action.
Nobody bought into it.
No.
Well, there you go.
And next, let's move on to a tipster in such good form, he has requested so-called be dropped from his title and joins us from Copenhagen, Denmark, where I believe he's putting in some reconnaissance work for the Made in Himalayan to be played in early July. That's how seriously he takes it. Adrian Logue, welcome.
There's no ends of the earth I won't go to research my tips.
Clearly. Nobody likes smug, and you do smug like few others, so stop it.
I thought you might just mention the number of wins I've had this year.
We will get to that.
Even a blind squirrel occasionally finds 6 or 7 acorns.
First, does anyone have any highlights from last week, apart from, I would suggest for most, would be Australia at the International Crown?
Just the whole International Crown, to be honest with you.
Crown was fantastic.
Fabulous. Absolutely fantastic viewing.
Yeah. Logue, anything for you?
Great event. Yeah, the International Crown was a great event. That format was superb. It was really good.
We were worried about it.
We were worried about it last week.
But yeah, once it got to the day, it's like,
we were worried about it. Yeah. Unfounded. That worry was completely unfounded. Yeah. And just that it's got, Thailand won deservingly, but that it's got such good talent from all of those countries that we don't see in the Solheim Cup. It was sensational.
And a good golf bump for Sarah Kemp, who played fantastically, particularly the first 2 days.
Absolutely. And a good golf bump for me in PNG. I was on fire in Papua New Guinea. I thought I had an equally good week as Sarah Kemp, or maybe we don't agree. Okay, sure.
I'm surprised we've got you back, actually. I thought you were
a little better than you.
Just headed for the expat life there.
I very well could
develop a nice little pouch.
Yep.
Are you mates with the Prime Minister now?
I did have a chat to him, and I wrote a little story about him. Yeah,
I didn't read it. I saw it yesterday. What was he like?
Not as good a golfer as maybe I'd hoped, but no, he was not. He loved it.
Golf nut?
Genuinely loved it. I spoke to a few members who play with him a lot, and he plays probably an amount that I won't publicise, put it that way. But it was actually really good fun over there. Really interesting and a really interesting place. So, and a very deserving winner, Lockie Barker, and also a deserving winner last week from Australia was Gabby Ruffles, who won for a second time on the Epsom Tour. All of her fellow Epsom Tour players must be absolutely ruining the fact she forgot to put in her LPGA Q School application because she is dominating.
They will all be cheering for her to get that third win and bugger off to the LPGA
and go
Tour
now. Rather than take one of the other cards.
Exactly.
That's right. Let's look back at those tips last week and the success. And of course, Logue mentions his win, which was Wyndham Clark. So Logue was the one thing he needed to get over his winless streak on the PGA Tour from 2019. So well done there. We had an additional 7 top 10s as well. So that takes us to 12 wins and 81 top 10s this year. So let's move on to this week. And firstly, LIV Golf is back in action and returns to the US for a third time this year. It's LIV Tulsa this week at Cedar Ridge Country Club in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, which calls itself South Tulsa's premier family-orientated, privately owned club close to the city yet still in the country. It's a small club where you are accepted as a close member of our family from the first day you join.
It's a pretty small group of clubs, you would think, that fit that criteria, isn't it? No wonder they're so highly ranked given all that.
I didn't really go deeper into the South Tulsa family club country clubs, but That's what they say anyway.
It's a different world, American golf, isn't it, to sort of what we have here. Very different.
Very typical country club in America sort of stuff here. Trees lining the fairways, large white sand bunkers, man-made hazards, water hazards. There is an Australian connection. Jan Stevenson won her third major, the US Women's Open, here in 1983.
Nice.
Designed by Joe Finger in the 1960s. Trip Davis did a renovation of the course a couple of years back where they took out a whole lot of bunkers and replaced the bunker system that sort of keeps the sand in better spots. Main player this week is, without question, Taylor Gooch, who is from the Tulsa area. And he's also won the last two events in Adelaide and Singapore, and has made plenty of news in the last week with his qualified status into the US Open now no longer after a slight changing in wording from the USGA. So he's going to be kind of the local star of the show this week and has been promoting the event a lot, so maybe bringing in some crowds. Plenty of the discussion around Gooch and his US Open issue has come from Phil Mickelson on Twitter. So he seems to be back to his usual self, which suggests he's going to keep playing well. Played well in Singapore. Close 3-month major run coming up. You'd be surprised if Phil maybe doesn't win a LIV event this year, I think.
Oh, very surprised.
Yeah. Losing in a playoff in Singapore is the non-fine paying Sergio Garcia, who's another one to watch here. Cam Smith looked good there as well. Brooks Koepka and Gooch now in a race to be the first 3-time LIV winner, so they're interesting. And Mark Leishman will have good karma on his side after another Begin Again Foundation event last week that ranged a huge amount of money for sepsis awareness, which is very good work from Mark.
Yeah, just extraordinarily good work indeed. Do they need a narrative, Liv? Would a three-peat be one of the things they need from Taylor Gooch?
I think a three-peat from Taylor Gooch in his home city would be a significant thing for them. Huge for them in America.
Yeah.
The successes outside of America probably haven't helped as much as, that would. Logue, I thought you were going to interrupt there.
Well, it could be a week. Yeah, it could be a week for three-peat.
Yeah,
just a bit of foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, I like.
AT&T Byron Nelson.
I like foreshadowing. That's good.
We'll get to that later.
Let's have a look at some tips, and I am going to go with one of the people I mentioned just then, with Phil, I think Cedar Ridge should suit him just fine from my looks at it. He is in form. He's in a bit of a mood, judging by the fact that he called the main person at the USGA a very rude word. It just feels like a Phil kind of a week. Logue,
he got to it, isn't he?
One for us.
I think that's an excellent pick, Jimmy. I'm going with Cam Smith. I think he's going to work his way into major form this week, and it's about time he did something significant in LIV, I think. So,
yep. Rod?
I'm going with Brooks Koepka because new dads and new dads-to-be, when they find out, generally get a lift in the game.
Nice.
Usually after the child's born, but he found out, was it last week?
Last week he posted it.
He posted. He would have found out before that, obviously.
I told Adam Pengilly at LIV Golf Adelaide that if he wanted a scoop, I noticed that I thought Jenna was pregnant, and Adam Pengilly said, I don't care. So the world could have known.
That's a woman's day.
I know. Idea. If I was more of a news hound, I could have been doing something there. Let's move along to the next event. And Logue, you are going to take us through the AT&T Byron Nelson on the PGA Tour.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yes, the AT&T Byron Nelson is being hosted at TPC Craig Ranch this year. It's the third year that it's at this venue, the Tom Weiskopf design. It's got a creek going through it called Rollet Creek, and it plays a part in 14 of the 18 holes. And it's an utterly uninspiring golf course, basically a place to hit golf balls. And for these guys, it's a bit easy. It has a reputation on tour of being one of the easiest courses all year, and they're going to make a lot of birdies out there. I think just generally the problem with this sort of course on the PGA Tour is it doesn't really separate the best players from the rest of the field. There's, from a tipping point of view, this is a tough one, even for me. Because it's
that's it. That's your last warning.
It's the sort of event where anybody can win because it's just going to be a birdie fest, and we know that all of these blokes can make a lot of birdies. So that said, KH Lee is the defending champ. He's also the defending champ last year. He's only got 2 PGA Tour wins in his career, and they were both here at TPC Craig Ranch and the AT&T Byron Nelson. So as long as the tournament's only been at TPC Craig Ranch, it's known no other winner than KH Lee. He's undefeated at TPC Craig Ranch. Maybe KH Lee's Alley.
Lee's Alley?
Lee's Alley?
Lee's
That's
Alley?
what we're going with?
Yeah, Lee's Alley.
Okay.
Lee's Lane?
Lee's Lane. Lee's Lane. There we go.
Lee's Lane. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Second place last year was Jordan Spieth. He's in the field again this year.
No, he's not.
And I like
Withdrew
Spieth.
this morning with
an injured left wrist.
Withdrew this morning.
Yeah.
Oh dear me. Okay, that's
It is
on me.
6 a.m.
That's
in
my
Denmark,
mistake.
to be
It
fair.
is 6 o'clock in the morning for Logue right now. So
Yeah, it's very early here. It's very, very early. But the winning score last year was 26 under par and 25 under par the year before. So it's going to take somebody who makes a lot of birdies. But, the field, looking at the field, despite not being a designated event, and I think, as you know, I only really get up for designated events.
yes.
This is the week before a major, and some notables are in the field, I think, trying to find a little bit of form before the major or play themselves into major form. Scotty Scheffler's playing. Tyrrell Hatton, Tom Kim, Jason Day, Matt Kuchar, Adam Scott, and Hideki Matsuyama making a return to competitive golf. There's a lot of Aussies. Adam Scott, as I said, Jason Day, as I said, Jeff Ogle is playing, Cam Percy, Aaron Badley, Greg Chalmers, Minwoo Lee, Sydney's own Harrison Endicott, and David Micheluzzi getting a start
Sponsors
on a PGA Tour event.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a chat to him tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow morning, so yeah.
Excellent. Another Australian connection. Peter Thompson won the Byron Nelson in 1956, his one and only PGA Tour victory.
There you go. That's what we like to hear.
How about that? He won it in a playoff. Do you know who he beat in the playoff?
No.
I'll tell you. He beat Gene Littler and Carrie Middlecoff.
A couple of handy players there.
Couple of handy players there. That Thompson might go all right.
Yeah, he might have a future in the game.
He might. He's pretty good.
Okay. Very interesting.
Just before tips, sorry, quickly on Micheluzzi.
On to tips.
Before tips, quickly on Micheluzzi.
Yep.
That tells you how important these TPS events are here, aren't they?
Absolutely.
There's no way he gets this sponsors exemption if he didn't have the summer that he had here in Australia.
Absolutely. Without winning 3 times here and all the press that created and doing it the way he did it.
Exactly.
He gets this, which is so impressive and so good for Dave, who's been learning professional golf since being a top amateur, number 2 amateur in the world, and kind of fell away. It shows the success of TPS events, but the success of what the tour here is trying to do and create a pathway to bigger events.
Yep.
And so
another tick for the TPS.
Congratulations to the tour and to them and to Dave.
100%.
Tips. Logue, you can set us on our path, given you're in hot form.
Well, I think the class player in the field is obviously Scotty Scheffler, and he's rightfully the favourite this week. However, I don't know that it's a tough week for a favourite to win. As I said, anybody could really win this week if you're making a lot of birdies, and I think that's going to be a big ask for Scheffler. And he's also probably going to be using this week to work through some part of his game that he's prepping for the PGA. So I'm not going for Scheffler. Hideki Matsuyama, I think, is going to be interesting to look at. We have no idea really what sort of form he's in, but his game, all things being equal, is very well suited to this course. He's an excellent approach player and makes a lot of birdies. KH Lee will do well again here, I think. It'd be very surprising if he doesn't top 5 or something. But from my extensive research, there's a name that intersects across the statistics and performance time and time again, and that name is Davis Riley.
Davis Riley. Okay.
Davis Riley. Not a bad pick.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah.
I'm going with the fact that he came 5th last week and has won this event in 2008 and wins a lot in Texas, and that would be Adam Scott.
Loves it, doesn't he? Texas?
Loves Texas. I don't know why.
Adam Scott.
Very weird thing.
Yeah.
I think he's got the complete set of Texas wins.
He does. He
yeah.
got a Houston Open, a Texas Open, and a Byron Nelson. And a Colonial, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the Byron Nelson he held that long putt on the 18th and went to world number 1 at the same time? The year he won the Masters or the year after, perhaps?
No,
was.
that was...
It was the Byron Nelson.
I thought it was.
No, it wasn't. He won the Byron Nelson in 2008.
But with the long putt. He held the long putt in the Byron Nelson.
Yeah, but the number 1 in the world, that was at Colonial. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to go with KH Lee because you've got to find something to cheer for this week. And as Logue said, there's nothing about the course that's amazing. I agree with you, Logue. There's no way for Scotty Scheffler to stand out Makes it hard for the better players. Tiger Woods was never great in these crazy low-scoring events because you didn't get the chance to really separate yourself. So, I'm going to cheer for KH Lee for a three-peat. If not, Tyrrell Hatton, so I've kind of had 2 bites at the cherry. But Logue had 6 or 7. So
That's fair. KH Lee, who, interestingly, wants to be the sexiest man in Korea.
Good character.
Yeah, he's actually great.
Yeah.
Everyone from the President's Cup told me he's fantastic. So, get around KH Lee. I like it.
Get around KH.
All right, let's jump to some women's golf. And Rod, you're going to tell us all about the Cognizant Founders Cup, one of the very significant regular stops on the LPGA Tour each year.
Indeed. Surprisingly quite a new event on the schedule. I think 2011 might have been the first one. I think Kari won it. And if I'm not mistaken that year, all of the purse money went to charities.
Yes, it did.
Players didn't get anything.
Correct, yeah.
So good on them. Look,
they tooled around with the format for a while and it was a bit funny, but yeah.
And they played it at a golf course that didn't really elevate the event in Arizona there. But look, the last 3 or 4 years they've moved it to some really nice golf courses. Again, this week I think we're going to see a good golf course. I'm still campaigning this should be a major for mine. This Founders Cup has ticks all of the boxes to be a major, and it'll have a major type field, and it'll be fantastic. Now look, if you're not at all familiar with the story of the founders, the 13 women that started the LPGA, it is truly amazing stuff. Do yourself a favour. It is a magnificent story.
The LPGA actually has a fantastic video about them on their website.
And, because I found it on Amazon. I'd never seen it. It's called The Founders.
Correct.
And I'm going to go and watch it, which will be outstanding. So, look, the sad thing is there's probably a lot of the younger players in the field don't really know or appreciate some of those stories. Players like Kari mentioned when she was on the show on Good a few weeks ago. She mentioned the Founders, and every time she sees one of those women, she has a sort of a reaction to it. So, look, it is and should be a pretty special tournament. Upper Montclair Country Club, not one of the most well-known golf courses out there. It's in New Jersey. It's a fairly typical sort of eastern US coast, or eastern US. Very nice country club. Quite tree-lined. It was originally a Tillinghast, but redone by Robert Trent Jones in the 1950s. If you're into your architecture, that doesn't fill you with inspiration as to what changes might have necessarily been made. Small greens, lots of dog legs, will be a real strategic ball strikers course this week. I think all the combatants from the final at Harding Park, and in fact I think all of the players from Harding Park last week are in the field, which is good to see. Lydia Ko teeing up just for the 3rd time this year. It's May.
She was on an extended honeymoon.
Yeah, I know.
She also played in Saudi as well.
True, but it's 3rd LPGA start in May, which is interesting. Missed the cut at the Chevron and finished midfield at the LA Open at Wiltshire. This course should actually suit her. This is her kind of golf course, the sort of golf course that you just pick apart clinically, hit it there, then turn and hit it there. That's her kind of golf. So I would expect she'll be there at the end, as long as there's no sort of rust to be knocked off the game. She's a bit underdone in terms of competitive golf. So, look, it'll be a really interesting event because, as it almost always does, the LPGA has most of their best players in the field. And you could put them at Mangrove Mountain and they'd turn on a fantastic spectacle. So they will this week, and for a really important price.
Yeah.
So it'll be, again, starting to sound like a thing. For me, this will be the tournament to watch this week.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it'll be the most interesting of all the tournaments going on around the world.
And some tips. Rod, you may as well start it.
Thailand. I'm going with Thailand.
Just Thailand? Team Thailand? Just pick a Thailand player, yeah?
All 4 of those players in the final last week, any one of them could win. In fact, I am going to go with Arya Jatanagar because I think we saw something from her really important. She putted the dots off it all week and looked confident. That was her form of the last couple of years is hard to explain. If you've ever seen her hit a golf ball in person, it's quite remarkable. She's an extraordinary ball striker, fabulous golfer, won't need to hit drivers all over the place here. That suits her. And as confident as she is, I wouldn't be surprised to see her get back in the winners' circle.
I think that's a pretty good pick. Logue, a thought from you on the Founders?
I'm sticking with Thailand and going with Attaya Tittakun.
That's fair enough again as well. Yep. I think last week would have done a lot for all of the Australian players. And while Hannah Green might be a bit gassed after she won the week before and then last week, I think it would have done a lot for Minjee Lee.
Who's defending, by the way. I forgot
the defending champion.
Different golf course, but defending champion.
And has had a slow start, played a little amount like Lydia and hasn't really got off the marks yet, but there'll be plenty of energy there, and this is exactly her sort of golf course as well. Pick it apart, hit the spots, ball striker, approach play. It seems kind of perfect.
She looked really happy and upbeat, I thought.
She looked like she really enjoyed herself last week, which was really good to see.
Yeah,
so I think that bodes well for this week. We're going to stick with you, Rod, and you're going to tell us about the Soudal Open in Belgium on the DP World Tour.
We're going to the Rinkven International Golf Club.
A regular stop for the European Tour in the last couple of years.
Last couple of years has, although the format changed last year for the first 2 stops they had here. This is essentially the Belgian Open. It's gone under a bunch of sponsors' names. But for 2 years before last year, it was the Belgian Knockout. So match play, 9
Thomas
hole.
Peters hosted it on stage. Yeah.
Which is sort of an interesting idea. We're back to stroke play last year. Sam Horsfield won. He won't be in the field this week because he's a LIV player.
That doesn't stop Logue tipping him.
No, that's right.
Playing events like the Italian Open. So Nostradamus over there can't work that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the scales, isn't it? It's the Wyndham Clark and the Sam Horsfield, and it's somewhere in the middle there's a balance. Look, the golf course doesn't look amazing. I had a look on YouTube and found Thomas Peters and somebody called Wesley talking you through some of the holes. That was interesting. It was in Belgian, as was the transcript. It was also in Belgian. So not only could you have no idea what they were talking about with their toy, you couldn't have any idea what they were talking about.
Sure, our Belgian listeners will be
Belgian listeners would have been all over it. Look, fairly straightforward-looking golf course, very flat-looking piece of land, lots of tall trees. For the most part, lots of width between the trees, except for a bunch of the tee shots, which look to have quite narrow chutes to get out of, and then it opens up further out there. Look, this is a bit like Craig Ranch. This is your quintessential modern professional golfer's golf course. They will go low here. -22 was the winning score last year. Suspect it'll probably be the same again. It's actually got a good history, this tournament. It started in 78. Here's some of the names of those who've won it. Faldo, Darren Clark, Westwood twice, disappeared off the schedule for 18 years from 2000 to 2018. I think Westwood won the last or the second last one, and then he won the first one back in 2018.
Nice. That's quite a title defence weight.
It is. Olaf Arbel and our own Noel Ratcliffe. Won the very first
How good.
Belgian Open in 1978. So well done. One of the games.
Shout out to you, the Rat.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Exactly right.
Love that.
Yeah,
okay.
Australians in the field, Scrivener, Windred and Maverick Ancliffe.
Cool. Let's have some tips. We may as well stay with you, Rod, given you've done the research.
I'm going the Logue method. Yep. Wander out to left field, see what I can see. Yannick Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Had a not great last round in Italy. Unfortunately, a lot of players had a not great last round in Italy, in fairness. Finished second here last year. Yep. So he'll be comfortable on the golf course, and why not?
Absolutely, why not? Logue, what's your why not this week?
I'm going with trailblazing American John Catlin.
Okay, nice. Any reason or just trailblazing?
Enough said.
Enough said. Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely.
He's a trailblazing American. What more do you need?
Okay. I think on a low-key, not going to say anything about it, Thorbjorn Olesen is chasing a second Ryder Cup appearance this year. After last time he got into his troubles on the way home from there. He won a couple of weeks ago in Thailand, as of course tipped by Adrian Logue. And then he was T40 last week at Marco Simone. That would have been a bit of a speed bump for him. But he wants to stand out. This is a chance to stand out. Ball strikers win at this place. Thorbjorn Olesen is one of the most clinical ball strikers I have ever seen up close.
Great, just a great. He's a great character. Gets on the bangers, struts down the fairways, does everything, flicks the banger to the ground, hits his shot, picks up the banger and keeps moving. Perfect. Exactly what you want to see.
So finally, we're going to go to one of the more difficult events to get some information on, the Thailand Mixed, hosted by Trust Golf. This was part of the Asian and Ladies European Tours last year when it was introduced to a bit of fanfare, but that's gone this year. It's now just...
The young kid. That was the young kid one that did it.
Correct, TK, yeah.
TK, yeah.
Now it's just what they're calling the Trust Golf Tour that doesn't have much about it, but it's actually co-sanctioned by the WPGA Tour of Australasia, as announced a couple of weeks ago. So they're actually playing what they're calling the Thailand Mixed this week from Thursday to Sunday. Then starting Tuesday next week is the Thailand Mixed Stableford. Same golf course, same fields, men and women competing against each other in the mould of the TPS events here. That's the involvement of the WPGA Tour of Australasia, and I think Karen Lunn will be over there this week. There is some staff from the Australasian Tour going. Interesting part about it is probably the golf course first up. So we're at St Andrews 2000, which is about 45 minutes from Pattaya. Designed by Desmond Muirhead, it's supposed to be a links golf course of Scotland in Thailand. So we've got these elevated tees and greens with some man-made undulations that are like a dinosaur's spine running through some fairways. Measures over 7,700 yards with 2 par 6 holes.
Wow.
That are at 878 and 861 yards each.
Solid
and a total par of 74. So discussing this with a few players who are making their way there next week, last week, the par sixes were all anyone could talk about.
Of course.
The golf course will tell you that it's not designed to be a bludgeoning test on the par sixes, but strategic. I don't know how much strategy comes into bashing driver 3-wood wedge onto a green, but anyway, that's what they say, so good luck to them.
It'll be really interesting to hear commentators talking about going for it in 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Can he go for it?
Can he reach
He's right on his
3?
limit here. Can he go for it?
I'd like to see someone go driver to get it on there. That'd be fantastic. Fair Australian contingent here, and I will quickly run through them. We've got Lachlan Armour, Lachlan Barker, Aidan Didion, Liam Georgiadis, Tim Hart, Andre Lorte, Rihanna Lewis, Matthew Steiger, Chizuru Ueda, Stephanie Vogel, Shea Walls-Cobb, and Selena Yuan. There's, outside of them, not too many names you're going to recognise.
Or could spell.
Correct. There's a lot of Thai players. Yeah. So the Trust Golf Tour is mainly based in Thailand, to give you a bit of a background on that. To pick a winner is anyone's good guesses here. I will say Lachlan Barker, who won in PNG last week. I followed him a lot when I was there, and he's got a serious golf game.
Okay.
Guy drives it a mile. Guy drives it straight, holes putts, and absolutely is, without a doubt in my mind, the most popular golfer in Papua New Guinea.
Right. Okay.
There was a story about him in one of the local papers just by chance before the tournament started. Every time he'd hit a shot, they'd cheer, "Go Lockie." And when he won, you would have thought he was the Prime Minister rather than James Marape, who was standing next to him. So Lockie Barker will be a big chance. I did maybe celebrate his win with him a little bit on Sunday, so I don't know how we'll be feeling come Thursday morning. So I'm going to have a bit of a wider stab. Liam Georgiadis is his best mate who travels with him and also from South Australia. That'd be a fair chance. But my tip is going to be Matthew Steiger from Australia, who once upon a time an amateur superstar.
Was the next big thing.
And then has had intermittent breaks of golf, and he now is working at a golf club in regional New South Wales. Plays a little bit, played quite well last week in PNG. Really good guy, Steigs, and a really, really good golfer who could just go and win something like this. So
tough way to do it, though, isn't it?
It is.
Just occasionally, and that's more true in this day and age than it has been at any time in history, to just tee up occasionally.
Yeah, it is. Logue, why don't you give us your thoughts on the Trust Golf Thailand Mixed?
It's a tough one, this one. I really struggled with this. Another former top amateur.
Didn't manage a stop-off in Thailand on the way to Denmark to do some research?
Check out the course.
No, I haven't done any research on this one. But that golf course, we talked about that golf course when we did a podcast on Desmond Muirhead years and years ago.
Yeah.
Rod, I remember we talked about those 2 par 6 holes.
Really interesting golf course designer. So it could be a real. Will we be able to watch it, do you think, Jimmy?
I will be having a look this afternoon at that for our TV guide on the Golf Australia website. So it'd be good if we can.
Desmond Muirhead is the guy who's done sort of shark bunkers and big jaws with teeth. Done some really crazy stuff.
Coralbin in Queensland, I think, is Muirhead. There's some stuff he's done that fascinates.
Muirfield Village as well. Muirfield Village in partnership with Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, that's right.
He did some branches of golf course architecture that should perhaps be pruned. Yeah. But it's golf course architecture as a whole is better for him having explored those places that nobody did explore.
Yes.
Fascinating character. But my pick is also a former top amateur and a player who I felt might have turned pro a little bit early, but has stuck with it, and I feel like he's playing his way into being a really good professional, and that is Shea Walls-Cobb. Yep.
He, for all intents and purposes, Shea Walls-Cobb should be winning golf tournaments, to my mind. He very much learning the craft on the go. So
it is harder than we give it credit for, though, too, isn't it? We anoint these players as he'll win multiple. There just isn't enough tournaments to go around.
There is, and there's all different stages. I had a conversation last week about Andre Lorte, who's in the field here this week. And if you see Andre Lorte play an event, you saw him walk up to the tee and how he presents himself, you go, geez, that guy's good.
Yeah.
Having watched him play as an amateur and as a pro, I said to someone last week, I don't think he realises how good he is. And he's now playing in a field of guys who do know how good they are, or want to tell or want to show you how good they are. He's a win or a close finish away from discovering that and going on. And Shea maybe falls into that category a little bit as well.
Andre's confidence took a bit of a dent in that TPS, didn't where he had that bad Sunday at the lead, which is it was a real sort of shame to watch. But yeah, kids, if you really want to have a professional golf career, start practicing before you get out of nappies, because it is really, really difficult. And getting out. This one's important too, Jimmy, for the WPGA. Just opportunities. I know there's only a couple of Australian girls in there, but just opportunities to play, particularly for our women golfers, where there's just not much. If you don't get yourself on an international tour, it's a real struggle.
There's 5 events as part of this Trust Golf series. So there's 2 across the next 2 weeks, and there's a bit of a break, and they go back and do it 2 again later, and then they do a finals where there's a qualifying system. The co-sanctioning with the WPGA was only announced a couple of weeks ago, so I can't imagine many of the girls playing in Australia had their time and organisation. They don't play for as much money, so a lot of them have jobs, so getting time off and all that sort of stuff may not have been organised. Some will have gone to the US to play Epson Tour qualifiers and that sort of stuff. So hopefully the second half of the series they play a bit more. But yeah, it is important.
Players need to play. That's what it comes down to. If you're not playing,
absolutely.
You're not going to be. I'm going to go with Jack Ainscough. First name in the list, didn't know anything about Jack Ainscough, but he's from Thailand and his name's Jack Ainscough. How could you not tip him?
I like it.
It's a lot easier to pronounce than most of the Thai names in the field.
It's true. There you go. Okay.
Jack it is.
Well, Jack going to get a playing from the tips bump. Not unlike Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, not unlike Wyndham Clark.
There you go.
Well done.
Very good. That'll do it from us for episode 13 of Playing from the Tips. We'll be back next week to recount our tipping successes and failures, particularly if those latter belong to Adrian Logue after the way he's been behaving. And we'll also be going through the week's tournaments, which includes the PGA Championship. Keep up to date on all this week's action on our website, golfaustralia.com.au, and thanks for listening.